You know, despite the Spider-Man's fandom being as toxic as usual, it has been a really great couple of years for the webhead. Outside of the comics, that is. We had Spider-Man PS4 and Into the Spider-Verse the same year. No Way Home is still a topic of discussion even nowadays. And this year we'll get Spider-Man 2 for the PS5 and Across the Spider-Verse. So it is clear that we, Spider-Man fans, are one of the most pampered fandoms that exist, probably in the same level that Super Mario fans. Spider-Man is pretty much doing great. That is a stark contrast with the MCU and overall Disney, that just keeps losing money. After losing Iron Man and Captain America, pretty much the face and heart of the MCU, Marvel has been trying to have a new actor to represent what Tony and Steve did. First, they tried with Captain Marvel, which had much success. I mean, yeah, the movie had big profits, but have into account that it was squashed between the two most important Marvel movies, and even then, her overall participation in Avengers Endgame was pretty limited. This was an obvious result of the general public not liking her character, which resulted in the sequel of her movie being delayed, and eventually with her being demoted to a secondary character in her own sequel. The message is clear, the majority of people doesn't like her, and she won't be the face of the MCU anymore. Don't even make me start with the trailer of the Marvels. On top of that, Marvel tried to at least half a dozen of projects or even more that all failed to launch. All of them deciding to focus on touching political subjects a bit too much, instead of, actually making a movie. All of these blunders left the MCU without a face or a heart that represents the overall franchise. And even if things might seem bad, I think that we are not in the end of the superhero movies. At least not yet. You see, there are rumors that point out that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire will appear in Across the Spider-Verse, which means that they are pretty open to coming back to play Spider-Man, and honestly, who wouldn't? Working in anything related to Spider-Man is the dream of many, let alone getting to be a Spider-Man, and the hefty paycheck that must come with it. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have spoken about how willing they are to come back as Spider-Man if they are needed, so at least from their part, coming back feels like it'll be no problem. There are already rumors that Tobey and Andrew might appear in the next Avengers movies, Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, which by itself is kinda exciting, but not as exciting as what might come next. There's a lot of talks about Spider-Man 4 and The Amazing Spider-Man 3 actually happening. At the moment, it might seem kinda impossible or even laughable thinking that such possibilities exist, but I don't think that they are far too off of being a reality. If you compare the grossing of No Way Home with Into the Spider-Verse, you'll see a humongous difference. People not only respond to Spider-Man, but they respond to Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and they want to see more of them. Which means that not making Spider-Man 4 or The Amazing Spider-Man 3, they will leave a lot of money on the table. They don't even have to try that hard to make profits. Just the mere name Spider-Man 4 or The Amazing Spider-Man 3 will guarantee a lot of tickets being sold. And honestly, who wouldn't prefer that over Morbius, Madame Web, or Kraven the Hunter? Honestly, who is the target audience of these movies? What's next? A movie about El Muerto? Honestly, who wants to see movies of Spider-Man villains without Spider-Man? I refuse to watch another of these movies. Venom is where I draw the line. I refuse to watch Morbius, Madame Web, or Kraven the Hunter. Keep making these Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man feels like they just want to evade taxes. Burn money. Then why not making Spider-Man 4 or The Amazing Spider-Man 3 when even actors involved in previous movies have responded really well to the idea of coming back? It really feels like not making these movies and keep making these other movies is just ridiculous. So, I will bet literal money that Spider-Man 4 or The Amazing Spider-Man 3 is a possibility. At least one of them is going to happen. Personally, if you ask me, I will prefer The Amazing Spider-Man 3, because I truly believe that Andrew Garfield deserves a chance to redeem the Amazing Spider-Man saga. He could have given a half-baked acting in No Way Home and call it a day, but you can feel his passion and love for the character. So I want to see more of Andrew Garfield. There is a lot of questions still unanswered, like what happened with Peter after the death of Gwen Stacy? Did he really kill a lot of people as suggested in No Way Home? Was he possessed by the Black Suit? Which other villains did he fight? I just feel like there's a lot to tell with his version of Spider-Man, and not just another movie, but he could be the Spider-Man that the Sonyverse is missing. Maybe he should fight Venom in the next Venom movie. Maybe he should be the Spider-Man that fights the Sinister Six if that Morbius post-credit scene ever comes a reality. It feels like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man has a lot of potential, more than just appearing in the next Avengers movie. Because the truth is that Spider-Man never needed the MCU. The MCU needed Spider-Man. If Spider-Man 4 happens, maybe it will have the same tone as Logan. Maybe Spider-Man and MJ have a daughter, and the movie is about Spider-Man accepting old age and giving his knowledge to his daughter and training her to be a hero, teaching her what it means to be Spider-Man. Or a Spider-Woman. Now, after addressing Tobey and Andrew, what about Tom? Well, I believe that after all, he will be the new face of the MCU, at least what remains of it. He was 19 years old when he first played Spider-Man in Civil War. Nowadays he's 26. It might seem like he's too old, but Tobey and Andrew were in their 30s when they first played Spider-Man. So it feels like Tom still has a long time to keep playing a young Spidey. To that, add the fact that he's charismatic and is really good at staying out of trouble, unlike other actors. So it feels like Tom Holland can be the face and heart that the MCU desperately needs. In No Way Home, it was implied that the symbiote was going to find Tom's Spider-Man, and there are rumors that we might see Black Cat, thing that I would like to see, but not for the reasons that you think, but because it would be nice seeing Spider-Man having a different love interest other than Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy. There are also rumors that Spider-Man will lead the Avengers in the next movie, thing that doesn't particularly excite me, but it makes sense, having into account that Tobey and Andrew might play an important part in the next Avengers movie. Side note, if they bring back Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and he doesn't interact with Tobey's Spider-Man, I will literally destroy a national monument. Only the future will tell what comes next, but in the meantime, regardless of what you think of the MCU, you have to accept that we Spider-Man fans are eating good, and we might eat even better in the future. Outside of the comics, that is.